The aroma of freshly brewed coffee and warm muffins filled the air of the small cafe, mingling with the murmur of morning conversations among the regular patrons. Lily moved deftly between the tables, serving steaming cups and greeting the customers with a subtle smile, almost imperceptible behind her large, dark-framed glasses. At 40 years old, Lily was an enigmatic figure in the quiet rural town. Always wearing hats or caps that partially shaded her face, she maintained an aura of mystery that intrigued the local residents. 2 years ago, when she opened the cafe, her arrival caused quite a stir among the curious inhabitants. However, over time, her presence became part of the town's routine, although speculations about her past never completely ceased. Lily's cafe was a welcoming space, with walls in soft tones of beige and brown, decorated with paintings of bucolic landscapes. Rustic wooden tables and comfortable chairs invited customers to linger, enjoying the tranquil environment. The marble counter, always impeccably clean, displayed a tempting variety of homemade cakes and pies. While preparing another batch of blueberry muffins, Lily reflected on the life she had built there. The peace she found in that small town was priceless. Far from the spotlight and the hustle and bustle of the life she left behind, she finally felt at home. Her simple routine, divided between the cafe and her house on the outskirts of town, brought her a satisfaction she had never experienced before. Lily's house, situated on a large plot of land at the edge of the town, was her refuge. A modest but cozy building, surrounded by a well-kept garden and a small vegetable garden. There, in the hours when she wasn't working, Lily dedicated herself to reading, her favourite pastime. Stacks of books occupied practically every room, a personal library that grew every week. That morning, while serving customers, Lily noticed an unusual commotion. Groups were whispering excitedly. Intrigued, but maintaining her usual discretion, she continued her tasks until one of her regular customers, Mr. Thompson, couldn't hold back. "Hey, Lily, have you heard the news? They say the famous actor Owen Blackwood is in town." Lily raised her eyebrows, genuinely surprised. "A famous actor? Here?" "Exactly," Mr. Thompson continued enthusiastically. "Everyone is talking about it. Don't you think it's strange? What would a movie star be doing in a small town like ours?" "I've never even heard of this actor," Lily replied, shrugging. "Is he famous?" Mrs. Miller, sitting at the next table, joined in the conversation. "Come on, Lily, everyone knows him. Don't you have a TV at home?" Lily smiled softly. "Actually, no, I don't. I prefer my books. And besides, they must be just rumours." As the customers continued to speculate about the presence of the mysterious actor, Lily felt a pang of anxiety. The idea of a celebrity in town made her uncomfortable. Trying to push these thoughts away, she focused on her tasks, finding comfort in the familiarity of her routine. The day progressed normally, with the cafe full of customers eager to share the latest gossip about the supposed famous visitor. Lily listened to everything with a polite smile, but stayed apart from the speculations. As the afternoon went on, she began to prepare to close the establishment. The sun was already setting when Lily started to clean the tables, gathering cups and dishes left behind. The silence of the empty cafe was comforting after a busy day. Distracted in her thoughts, she barely noticed the tinkling of the doorbell. "One last customer," she thought without turning around immediately. It was then that she felt a firm hand grasp hers. A familiar voice, one she hadn't heard in years, made her heart race. "I finally found you." Lily turned slowly, her face an expression of shock and disbelief. In front of her stood Owen Blackwood, the actor whose presence had stirred the town all day. His green eyes, which she knew so well, gazed at her with a mixture of surprise and anxiety. "Owen," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "What are you doing here? How did you find me?" In a swift movement, Lily rushed to shut the cafe door, flipping the sign to closed and drawing the curtains. Her heart pounded out of rhythm, a mix of fear and excitement coursing through her body. Owen watched her, his eyes scanning every detail of her face as if he wanted to memorize every change that had occurred over the past 2 years. "Elizabeth," he said softly, using the name she had abandoned. "I have to ask what you're doing here in this town lost on the map. It's been almost 2 years since I started searching for you. Finally, a detective found you here." Lily, or rather Elizabeth Jones, felt the weight of her past crash down on her shoulders. She used to be Elizabeth Jones, the famous soap opera actress, girlfriend of Owen Blackwood, a successful movie star. 2 years ago, her sudden disappearance from the spotlight had sparked a wave of speculation in the media and among fans. Some said she had converted to a religion and decided to live secluded in another country. Others believed that after being rejected for a major film role, she sank into a deep depression. There were even those who swore that a betrayal by Owen had been the trigger for her to abandon everything: the career, the romance, and public life. The truth, however, was quite different. Elizabeth hadn't vanished due to scandal, failure, or emotional escape. She had simply chosen peace, trading the glare of the cameras for the serenity of an ordinary life. "Owen," she began, her voice trembling slightly, "I was warning you for months before I left that life in the spotlight was no longer for me. I couldn't stand having my life on the magazine covers, in the news, on the internet. All that was worthless to me without my peace. I left you a letter informing you that I was leaving." Owen ran his hand through his hair, a gesture she remembered so well. "Yes, you did. And you also left my heart broken," he said with regret. Elizabeth felt a wave of guilt. "I'm sorry, Owen. I couldn't live that way anymore. You can't imagine the peace of a simple life. Here, I do my own shopping without anyone taking pictures of me. I wash my clothes and I prepare my meals. Now I'm truly living." She paused, looking around the cafe that was now her home. "When I arrived here, I was already different. I gained some weight, changed the colour of my hair, stopped wearing makeup, and abandoned those sophisticated clothes. With my new simple way, no one even suspected who I was. I became just another face among many common ones, and for the first time, it was liberating." Owen watched her in silence, as if he wanted to memorize every feature, every change, every nuance that time and a quiet life had sculpted in Elizabeth. His eyes carried a whirlwind of emotions: restrained pain, deep longing, a bitter understanding, and a silent twinge of envy for the serene freedom she now lived. He took a deep breath, as if seeking courage to say what he needed to. "I came here believing that I could still bring you back, that maybe all it would take was looking into your eyes and you would remember everything we were. But now I see it would be selfish of me." His tone wavered, but he continued, his voice low and vulnerable. "You seem so at peace, Lily. So whole. And that. It breaks my heart, and at the same time, it relieves me. Because I love you too much to want to take you away from that." Elizabeth felt a knot tighten in her throat. Her eyes welled up, but she maintained a serene smile, touched by a sweet sadness. "I'm okay, Owen. For the first time in my life, I breathe without fear, without masks. But that doesn't mean I haven't missed you, that I haven't cried for us, many times." She held his hand for a moment with tenderness. "I just wish you would find this peace too, that you'd discover there is life beyond the applause." Owen looked away, fighting back his own tears. His eyes roamed over the simple and cozy atmosphere of the cafe. He paused, then smiled sadly. "Maybe one day, Lily. Maybe one day I'll also learn to be happy like that." He leaned in slowly, placing a gentle kiss on her forehead. A gesture full of farewell, affection, and silent pain. And then he left, leaving behind a trail of memories, love, and the echo of all that could have been. Elizabeth remained standing, watching the door close behind Owen. Her heart was heavy, yet at the same time she felt relieved. The encounter with her past had reaffirmed her decision to live this new life. The days that followed were a whirlwind of emotions for Elizabeth. She continued her routine at the cafe, serving coffee and muffins with the same care as always, but her mind was constantly focused on the meeting with Owen. The customers, still buzzing with rumours about the famous actor's presence in town, had no idea that the mysterious cafe owner had been the reason for his visit. Elizabeth found herself recalling moments from her past life. The dazzling lights of film sets, the frenzy of interviews and photo shoots, the constant invasion of privacy. She compared these memories with the tranquility of her current life, the freedom to walk the streets unnoticed, the simple pleasure of tending to her own garden. On quiet nights at her house on the outskirts of town, Elizabeth flipped through scrapbooks she had kept, silent witnesses of her former life. Photos of her and Owen on red carpets, headlines about their relationship, glowing reviews of her performances. It all seemed so distant now, as if they were memories belonging to someone else. Weeks passed, and the excitement in town over the supposed visit of the famous actor had already faded away. Life returned to its normal pace, and Elizabeth once again found herself comfortable in her routine. Owen's visit, although unsettling at first, served to reaffirm her decision. She was at peace with her choices. One night, almost 3 months after the encounter with Owen, Elizabeth was closing the cafe. The last customer had just left, leaving behind a newspaper on the table. As she was clearing the dishes, her eyes caught a headline that made her stop. Famous actor Owen Blackwood announces his retirement from the spotlight. Elizabeth picked up the newspaper, reading the article with a mixture of surprise and pride. Owen talked about the need to find a new purpose, away from the pressures of fame. He mentioned the desire for a simpler life, words that echoed Elizabeth's own reasons for her departure 2 years earlier. A gentle smile formed on her lips. She felt proud of Owen, happy that he had found the courage to seek something different. She carefully folded the newspaper, deciding to keep it as a memento. At that moment, the doorbell jingled softly. Elizabeth looked up, ready to inform that the cafe was closing, but the words died in her throat. Standing at the entrance was Owen, but not the Owen she had known on the red carpets of Hollywood. This Owen wore simple clothes, jeans, a plaid shirt, and a worn cap. His stubble and thick-framed glasses made him almost unrecognizable to anyone who knew him only from the screens. "Is there room in your life for a regular guy?" he asked, a hesitant smile on his lips. Elizabeth felt her heart race. For a moment, she was paralyzed, unable to believe what she was seeing. Then, slowly, a smile spread across her face, lighting up her eyes in a way that hadn't happened in years. Without saying a word, she crossed the space between them and wrapped him in a tight embrace. Owen hugged her back, and in that moment, both felt they had finally found the home they were looking for. In the days that followed, Owen and Elizabeth began to build a new life together. The small town that had been Elizabeth's refuge became home to both of them. Owen, just as she had done 2 years before, embraced the simplicity of life away from the spotlight. The cafe became their joint project. Owen learned to make coffee and bake muffins, often burning the first attempts to the amusement of regular customers. Elizabeth taught him to appreciate the slower rhythm of life, to find joy in the little things, the birds singing in the morning, the smell of fresh bread, the pleasure of an unpretentious conversation with the locals. Together, they expanded the garden at Elizabeth's house, now home to both of them. They planted flowers and vegetables, spending hours tending to the land, their hands touching as they worked side by side. In the evening, they would sit on the porch, watching the sunset, talking about their days, or simply enjoying the comfortable silence between them. For the residents of that town, he was simply the new helper at Lily's cafe, a kind man with an easy smile and a questionable skill at making coffee. Elizabeth and Owen discovered a new form of happiness, one that did not rely on applause or public recognition. They found satisfaction in a life well lived, in genuine connections with the people around them, and in the love they shared, now deeper and truer than ever. As the months went by, the story of the famous actor couple who left fame behind to live a simple life in the countryside became an urban legend, a romantic tale people enjoyed sharing. But for Elizabeth and Owen, it was simply the life they had chosen, a life filled with coffee, muffins, and a quiet love that finally found its perfect place in the world. If you enjoyed the story, please leave a comment with a rating from 1 to 5 to show how much you liked it. Also, watch the video that is now appearing on your screen. See you soon.